Hello. Thrilled to be here for this timely and important discussion, and want to speak for a minute about the specific opportunities we see for bilateral clean energy cooperation across the United States and India. The US and India share so many things. Large democracies, both heavily investing in the energy transition in their respective economies and facing similar challenges as they proceed. When we look at the commitments that India has made around 500 gigawatts of renewable energy by 2030, around electric vehicles and hard-to-abate sectors and the various missions to accelerate the energy transition, they are considerable. And when we look at the commitments that the United States has made, they are also ambitious. We are moving to cut our net greenhouse gas emissions in half by 2030 and to achieve net zero for all greenhouse gases by 2050. And we're following up with related policies, including sweeping, unprecedented legislation in the last 2 years that starts with and really is anchored by the Inflation Reduction Act and its incentives for all the solutions that we need. The tax credit incentives in that sweeping and unprecedented legislation are estimated initially at $369 billion, but external estimates have suggested that the actual expenditure could be as much as triple that amount because they are uncapped. And I should underscore, they're quite durable politically. In 2015, a sort of miniature version of those kinds of incentives was put in place under the Obama administration. That wind and solar-oriented set of incentives actually persisted straight through the Trump administration years and delivered record wind and solar deployment over that period. So we have seen a bipartisan support for this kind of package, and we expect and indeed are seeing an extraordinary response from industry, including notably Indian companies investing in the US economy in areas like renewables manufacturing. So both countries share a real rapid investment pace on the energy transition, and both countries are in fact running into substantial supply chain constraints as they proceed. In some cases, we find that for high voltage DC lines, it can be a multi-year delay to get the technology, the equipment that's required in order to do those transmission lines in the United States. There are too few solar panels available from diversified suppliers in the United States market. Obviously, across the board, we see constraints on critical minerals and other key elements of what's required to succeed in India and in the United States, respectively. And so what is available to us is an opportunity to deepen the partnership bilaterally between the United States and India, and to do so in a way that really addresses some of these bottlenecks and plays to the respective strengths of both countries. And we're starting to see that really occur. We have seen, for example, the US Development Finance Corporation invest nearly $1 billion in solar manufacturing in India, including $500 million for a first solar facility that uses a thin film technology that doesn't require imported polysilicon. And we've seen also a similar scale investment in a Tata Power facility in Tamil Nadu. And then again, as noted, we see Vikram Solar investing in Colorado in the United States in solar manufacturing. So very good bilateral investment flows emerging, and much more coming given the pace of the transition, the scale of the ambition in both countries. And our two governments are also entering into closer strategic partnership on clean energy. In June, when Prime Minister Modi was in Washington, D.C., he announced with President Biden a couple of important initiatives that really deepen this partnership across the two countries. The first was in the area of electric mobility and specifically electric buses, and it involved a payment security mechanism to allow made in India electric buses to be leased to special transit undertakings regardless of concerns about their financial condition. And that is aimed at mobilizing $3 billion in investment in electric buses and really getting India-manufactured electric buses onto the roads in a wide range of Indian cities. And the government of India has co-invested with a whole range of commitments from charging infrastructure to a role for the Reserve Bank of India. So that is moving briskly and is very compelling. And GIAP has played a central role in helping to advance that. A second area announced when Prime Minister Modi was in Washington, D.C. was an intent to put together a multi-billion-dollar investment fund in order to tackle critical challenges in India around deployment, which includes things like storage in order to handle the inevitable challenges around such rapid solar deployment and what that means in terms of net load during the daytime and the infamous duck curve. And also areas like hard-to-abate sectors and just more challenging renewables opportunities such as offshore wind. So this is moving ahead as well. And in September, on the margins of the G20, the two leaders indicated that they would put together collectively, split evenly, the first $1 billion towards that multi-billion-dollar fund. So we're putting in place really the building blocks for call it a US-India clean energy corridor, call it a deeper partnership, but a pragmatic approach that is a co-equal partnership that advances our shared interests in the global green economy through co-innovation, co-investment, and trade. And this is meant to focus on catalytic investment between our two countries that diversifies supply chains and bolsters both countries' role in the global green economy. And key areas of focus include the renewables and electric mobility that I just noted, but also there are other opportunities such as in the area of cooling efficiency and the like. Why the United States and India? Well, both countries understand that there is significant vulnerability from climate impacts, and so we need to act, and both countries have these respective ambitious targets for the energy transition. And both are putting high priority on de-risking global supply chains that includes partners that share democratic and liberal economic values. And of course, both countries have different comparative advantages, different strengths that can be invoked in order to have integrated supply chains for these key solutions in the energy transition. And the opportunities here are not limited to the specific areas that I've mentioned. Of course, you could also have deeper partnership, and we will seek that in areas like nuclear energy, building on the US-India nuclear deal that provides a framework for that kind of cooperation. There's tremendous opportunity in areas like hard-to-abate industrial sectors, which could include everything from electrolyzer manufacturing in India to potential trade in green ammonia for fertilizer. And in the electric vehicles space, there's also a shared imperative given the public health, economic, energy security, and climate benefits of transitioning faster to electric vehicles, and the shared challenges in finding diversified and ideally in-country manufacturing sources for the batteries at the heart of those electric vehicles. So across the board, there's a partnership that needs to happen, that is building, and we are optimistic that the work that's underway and the potential that is there offers a significant new dimension to the US-India bilateral relationship, and it could be one of the defining partnerships for the 21st century as the world really seeks to get to net zero energy, and as our two countries need to work together to push through the supply chain constraints and to actually be able to move at the pace that we seek. So appreciate the chance to be here today, and appreciate all the work that GIAP does in this sector, and thank you for organizing this important discussion.